Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's March 13th, 2018, and I'm over in the work area. And today's topic is seed starting and how we do our seed starting up here in central New York. Now, we're in a very cold, temperate climate. We're going to get another snowstorm today and tomorrow. And that's just part of life for us here. I don't have the greenhouse up and I don't have the high tunnels up yet to really do the season extension. So I'm doing everything inside of a building, similar to someone's garage or barn area. This does have a concrete floor in this area. This is the building that's attached to the chicken and duck coop area, as well as a future greenhouse with a big thermal mass unit below it. So today I thought I'd show you some of the tools that we use to start our plants every spring. Now, if you're just beginning homesteading and all, a lot of this stuff is going to be way out of your price range potentially, like the vacuum seeder that we use. However, I thought I'd at least show you some of these tools and maybe explain a bit why I actually use each one of these tools. I'm not sure how this is going to work out. I brought over a couple of cameras and we'll see what we can do. So here we go. Okay, we're over here in the work area. Here is the workstation that we start all of our seed starting on. And we use almost exclusively 72 cell trays, meaning that in total there's 72 of these pockets where the soil mixture goes into this tray, and optimally we can get 72 transplants out of this, to 72 different various plants. These particular trays I got from Johnny's Select Seeds, and they work great. And the reason that I really like this particular one is because I also have the plug popper, which works very well. And so this just, if you set it on here after the plants have already grown and you want to transplant them in the ground, trying to get the seedlings out of here for transplanting into the ground can be a real pain in the butt unless you have one of these poppers, which really cuts down on the amount of time. Bear with me one second here. See if I can show you what this looks like. And if you can imagine, all of the plugs would pop right up, and then it's easier to grab them as opposed to using two butter knives to reach in here and pull out each one of the plugs. So that really saves a lot of time. That really saves a lot of time when we want to do the transplants in the springtime, when we're ready to get them into the ground once the beds are all set. The next tray, since we're inside a building and all, typically you just put this type of tray inside of a non-perforated tray. So this is a tray that won't let water escape from. But because what I do is I want a little more structural integrity to this, once it's loaded with soil and the plants are growing up, I put this plug starter, the 72 cell tray, into a perforated tray. And we'll hold it up here and see if you could see the holes there. And so this will easily let water run through it. So this, once it's started with soil and the seeds are transplanted into it, and there's vermiculite covering the cells, this goes into this tray. So now I've got this perforated tray. So water will, if I go to water this, water is going to leak right out on the floor in here. This would be absolutely fine in a greenhouse setting where you've got a dirt floor. You don't need anything more than this. But since I really carry these heavy trays around and they go in the back of Pepe, they get driven all over the place, I really want as much structural integrity as possible. So I use this perforated tray first. Then this goes into a non-perforated tray, so this one doesn't have holes in it. Now when this gets watered, as long as I'm not pouring it off the edges, it can be in here on the shelving units in here and not leak on the ground. However, these trays can get damaged running them across the grates of the shelving units here. So I have them in these little crates, and all these you can get from, like the Greenhouse Mega Store. I wouldn't recommend getting these from the Home Depot and Lowe's. They're pretty cheap. So what I do is I start off by so what I do is first I load each one of these 72 cell trays with the soil mixture that I'm going to be using, and then I just stack them right up on top of here. And you can see when you stack them on top of each other, the weight of it, and I actually press down on it, it creates these little indentations. That's where the seeds will drop when we're using the vacuum seeder. So that's the vacuum seeder down there. And so we'll drop the seeds in it. Then I take these over to an area. Let me see, I think this is a bin over here. And I'll just top it off with a little vermiculite. Now I'll go around to the other side to show you where we're at. So here are a bunch of the trays that I did yesterday with the for leek seeds. So there's 16 flats here of leek seeds, all started here, and they can all be in the dark. But I bring them over to the sink area, and that's when I wet down all of them here. Then I put them on the floor because it's not perfect. I let them sit here for a little while and let the water drain off, so I decrease the amount of rust that's going to happen on the shelving unit because I completely soaked these initially. So they end up going on here. Once the little seedlings start to emerge, the lights go on over each one of these systems. All right, so I'm using these Rubbermaid containers, and this is where we put a lot of our soilless mixture. Now, I repurpose this soilless mixture. So this is a combination of some compost, very minimal amounts of compost, some of the soil that came from the seed trays last year that were used, and some soilless mixture that I purchased. Now, one of the things that we do is we do the microgreens. We start our microgreens, and then what I do is I load those up in these bins. And after I've cut off the microgreens, once we've cut off all the broccoli, then we have all the stems on it, and they go into these bins. The microorganisms break it down, so it is a soil then. We actually have some beneficial microorganisms in here. And it retains some moisture during the season as well. So that makes the process a little bit easier for starting. So that we have a few bins of this that I save up over the summertime that are ready for in the springtime. During the wintertime, once all of these bins are full, the microgreens, the soilless mixture goes into the chicken coop, and I'll do an update on the chicken coop and the soil that's in there that we're building as well. But this is the material that's going to go into each one of these seed starting trays. Then once the seeds are put in there, then we just cover it a little bit with some vermiculite. Now, there is perlite mixed in with this soilless mixture, and it just happens to be the type that I purchased. And this is a Pro Mix that I bought from a nursery business that was going out of business. So the rest of this video is just going to take you through a time-lapse videography of the process going on. So first filling all the trays with the soil mixture, then using the vacuum seeder to place each seed in each cell. And you'll see I use it a couple of times because of decreased germination. I just want to make sure I have at least one plant in every cell coming up. And the next step is putting vermiculite on the surface of it, putting all the trays together so it makes one unit, bringing it over by the sink, watering the unit, putting it on the floor to allow the excess moisture to come off, and then we put them on each one of the trays. And this goes on through the next couple of months. Our onions and our allium species are the ones that we want to get started, the leeks and the onions right off the bat. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have comments or questions, please ask them. If you're interested in more information about the vacuum seeder or the trays, let me know in the comments. I hope I've explained this whole process fairly well. So thanks so much for watching. If you think this was of value, please give it a thumbs up and share it, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much, folks, and have a great day. Bye-bye now.